Hey, what's up, stream keepers, and welcome back to my channel. And in today's topic, I want to talk to you guys about stream import and some of the factors or elements that actually goes into a stream import, or what do you actually expect out of it. And one of the things I wanted to share this information is because when we import streams from other sources, or even when you purchase a stream from your local fish shop, or your or your or a stream breeder, tendency that there will be a little bit of changes in terms of the water parameters. And what are some of the things that we actually go through to ensure that the survivability of the streams um, are are given at its maximum. And one of the things that we normally observe is that during an import, right, there will be differences in terms of the water parameters from the breeder and from your own tank. And one of the things that we normally do is that we will try to mimic as close and as best as possible to the breeder's setup. And one of the reasons is that if you think about it, right, so when we shift our own streams from one tank to the other, and if they are more or less having the same type of parameters, not exactly the same, because sometimes parameters may fluctuate a little bit. Like for example, the TDS in one tank can be 85, the other one can be 87, right? So what we are actually trying to do is that we try to mimic the exact or the similarity of the breeder's water parameters, and that is one of the things that we try to do, and to ensure that when the streams arrive, you can actually put the streams into the tank without having that kind of water parameters fluctuation. And for example, if let's say if my TDS is maybe 85, and let's say you put in your tank and your TDS is like 500, will it really matters? Actually, we have done quite a few experiments ourselves before, and I have also friends that actually done with a very high TDS, and actually we realized that in that essence, if the streams are really very hardy, usually the more hardy ones, they don't really get that impacted. But however, we want to always share this information as best as we can, that knowledge behind why we want to do what we do, because having the same kind of water parameters, that will actually minimize the risk of any molting issues. And and I was actually very lucky to actually capture some of this capture one of the footage of stream molting. So this is actually the M series PRL from Hua, and they have mode. Actually, this has been with me for a long time, and the stream has molted. And one of the things that I actually look at is actually the entire ecosystem, the end-to-end ecosystem of the water parameters, both the soft and hard value of it. I'm always a firm believer about the soft value, because the soft value actually indicates more than the hard value of a water parameters. And in this import, we actually have quite a lot of new streams that have not been, that's not common, that's uncommon. There's you can see in the videos that there's a lot of uncommon streams that we have actually brought in, and they are very fascinating, and it is really very healthy, and things like that. So that's I wanted to take this opportunity to share, what do you really expect in terms of the importing of the streams, or buying streams from your breeder. So the case in point here is try to mimic as best as possible to the breeders tank. And it is actually up to actually it is the seller's job, or the seller's responsibility, to actually share as much information as possible. I mean, regardless, right? Personally, for me, regardless whether you are buying streams from me or not, whether you are I have been openly sharing all this information to a lot of these hobbies around the world, a lot of these breeders around the world as well. And I think that that is, I think, the first stepping stone, or the fundamentals of that knowledge leveling. right? There can be a lot of methods on stream breeding. There can be a lot of methods of cycling of a tank. However, I'm just sharing my own experience and my own knowledge that I have learned from master breeders in Taiwan. So whenever we import a stream into into the country, what we normally do is that we will first float the bag in the tank, right? So that we get the equilibrium between the bag and the tank temperature. So the temperature will then be in equilibrium. Once that is done, what we normally do, I mean personally for me, even the more sensitive ones, I usually use the entire same process, and one of the reasons is because regardless whether they are sensitive or not, I think the tank has to be very well prepared for the streams to come in. So usually what I do before I get the streams into the tank, I usually do at least a 10 to 20% water change to drive down the nitrate level, and then make sure that the TDS and everything is spot on. And then once the stream comes, so there is a lot of work before the stream comes, changing of water, measuring to ensure that the tank parameters are spot on, and then all that. So when the streams come, that's when actually it is a more relaxed or more or it's an easier process, because all you have to do is that, at least for me, I just float the streams in the tank, the bag in the tank, and then after that what I do is I open it up, and then I scoop the streams out from the bag, or even I pour the content of the water into a container, and then after that I will scoop the streams and put it right into the tank itself. So I will not pour the water into the tank as much as possible. And you ask me, why am I doing that? Then doesn't that go against the dripping method? The dripping method, it works as well, because that also try to get to the equilibrium between the tank water and the bag water, right? So we are trying to do that. However, like I've mentioned before, is for the streams that I'm actually getting, we actually align our water parameters with the breeders. So that means that it's technically like moving from one tank to the other. However, there will still be some casualties along the way, not because the water parameters are not right, but because all living things will die, right? So regardless of how, so what we can do is that we just control what we can, like for example making sure that the tank water parameters are right before the streams are in the tank, not after. So after you float the bag, we put the streams in the tank. Normally what I'll do, I will switch off the lights for at least 24 hours, let the streams acclimatize. I will not even feed them until the next day, right? So one of the reasons is that although they are very hungry because they are in a bag for a long time, and but that is the reason why we do a lot of this work up front. So to produce that biofilm in the tank, so that the streams, once they hit the tank, they are able to consume the biofilm, which is their natural food. And then after that, subsequently, after 3 or 4 days, up to a week, and then I will start to feed them. So it really depends on the stream itself, and also the number of streams, right? Whenever we get a tank, like if let's say if I'm going to start a boa tank, or if I want to start a stardust tank or a black fancy tiger tank, normally what I do, that if I want to breed them, I would actually get a sizable amount of colony before I start the project. And one of the reasons is because having that numbers in the tank actually gives the stream a little bit more confidence in venturing outwards rather than hiding in most of the time. And that is often what we see for new imports, right? If you're gonna put like 3 or 5 streams in a tank, normally what they do is that they will try to hide because they are afraid, but they gain that confidence when there is numbers. So usually what I'll do is that I get at least 15 to 20 streams per type of streams that I want to breed, and I'll put them in. So those are usually adults. So for juveniles, usually we get 100, 200 streams in, and then see watch them grow, and then we select the streams for breeding. So the breeding part is more like a hobby to me, and I really being very intrigued with all those colors and patterns So that's the reason why I've been breeding the streams, and I think most of you guys are very interested in breeding the streams is because the outcome, the streamlets, the next generation is unknown, right? And there can be some surprises, and it's often a very rewarding type of surprise that you actually see when the streamlets actually come out and they turn really nice, and you are being a like a father to breed them, or a mother to breed them out. So these are some of the small little key information that I wanted to share in this video in terms of putting the streams in a tank if you get it from a breeder or from overseas, right? So that's to at least align your water parameters with the breeder, and then once you float the tank, you scoop the streams out without putting the water into the tank. And the reason is because the bag has been traveling for at least maybe 1 day. There will be a lot of ammonia source in there, if the streams are mold in the bag, there can be additional ammonia and stuff like that. And usually good exporters, what they do is that before the shipment, they will actually segregate them away from the main tank. They will stop feeding them to let them devein, and then also to mold as well. So they want to actually prevent or minimize the tendency or the chances of having ammonia build up, and that is very responsible for very responsible for the breeders or the sellers to actually do that in terms of exporting. And it actually encourages, or it increases the chance of the stream survival, so that when it hits the tank on the other side, everybody is happy. So so I think that's all for this video. I actually wanted to share all this information with you guys, so the next time when you get your streams, do you want to drip it or you don't want to dunk it? I think there's very good reasons to do either method, and as long as you are very comfortable and you have been doing it for many times on a certain method, it doesn't mean that one method is better than the other. All it does is that it's just improving the probability of the survival of the stream, and it also doesn't mean that either method will increases the chance of survivability. So either method is fine. I've seen many breeders done the dripping method as well. I've also seen many breeders done the dunking method as well. So as long as the dunking method, so as long as the water parameters are more or less similar to the breeder, I think overall a very healthy stream can actually take that kind of slight changes in terms of water parameters. So that's all, folks. Thank you very much, and until next time, peace out.